Good afternoon and welcome to the SHEDcast. Hooray! Hey, hi Alan, how are you doing?
Hello, Marcel. Fine, thank you.
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Right.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us. We've got a couple of comments coming in. Let's have a look. We've got one from Mark Croft. Hello, Mark. In Redditch. Okay, cool. Hello, I'm a newbie here for the first time attending a Men in Sheds in the comfort of my own flat. Welcome
Redditch.
From all the way from Redditch. Where, I don't know where Redditch is. I'm going to have to Google that. Excellent. Yeah. Cool. Nice to see you. And he's also put in, just had my washing line finished by my handyman. Andrew paid him £25. That's a good price for putting a washing line up. Get some pics if people are interested. Yeah, send us a photograph of you, I don't know, paying the handyman? I don't know. You tell us. It's good to see you. Let's see what's on this week. Let's go to my doodly whatsits, and here we go. So Alan's going to be talking an update on his boat. If you were here, let me think, 11 weeks ago, crumbs, 11 weeks ago on our first show, Alan joined us and we had a show of his boat, and he's going to give us an update on that. That's brilliant. And then after a little while, we'll put the kettle on, PKO, and then have tea and wheat. And then after that, we'll be talking about the shed openings. As you know, the whole coronavirus thing is, well, it's moving. And I can announce today, the 27th of May, that in Guernsey, as of today, we have 0 known cases of COVID-19. Hooray! Which is blooming marvellous. From the 9th of March, I think we closed the shed. And the word from our government, the States of Guernsey, is that on Saturday we'll be moving to phase 4. I don't know how that relates to anyone else in the world, but our phase 4 means that we can have social groups up to 30 with social distancing, a couple of meters, that sort of thing. Lots of hand washing and sanitization. And so on. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's pertinent right now, but some cafes are opening, that sort of thing. So things are starting to move, which is all jolly exciting. Part of me is excited, I must admit, but part of me is also thinking, I've been kind of enjoying this lockdown. Alan, now we're sort of heading out of it. 2020 hindsight and all that sort of thing. How do you feel about it? Would you rather carry on?
There were some amazing things during lockdown when the cars all disappeared off the roads. It was just wonderful. I just couldn't believe how good that was, and the air was clean and clear. The sky had no jet trails. I just thought, why can't it always be like this? And why do people have to go off on half a dozen holidays a year and things like that? It's just crazy.
I totally agree. I hear you. It was a little while ago now that JP and I were doing daily walks, and some of the walks we had were sort of an early evening walk, and we were the only people out, it seemed, and the birds were loud and proud, and we'd walk down the middle of the road and there were no cars. It was just bliss, I must admit. You've been around a little bit longer than me, but was it like dialing the clock back 50 years?
Certainly when we were children, we played out in the roads, in the Vale, up behind Landcrest Lodge Hotel, and there were very rarely any cars that came by. So, it just wasn't an issue. Dogs used to go to sleep out in the road, and in front of the front garden gates and things, and it's just sort of cars have crept up, but with it became clear just the enormous antisocial aspect of cars. The problem is that for us all as individuals, they are a fantastic convenience, but the cumulative effect on communities is absolutely disastrous, really.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I don't know quite what we can do going forward. That is quite a frustration.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody will be able to walk and cycle a little bit more. I used to cycle a lot more, and then gradually it got back to the car more and more, and now I'm trying to go back the other way to the bike and walking and things.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, getting to the shed for you is a commitment, should we say?
Yeah, one of the biggest car uses at the moment.
Yeah, because what's it from you? Probably about 8 or 9 miles by road. I know that doesn't sound a lot for people who are not from Guernsey,
it's
but
the equivalent of at least twice the distance in the UK, because you do 8 or 9 miles here, and it takes you a good half hour.
Yeah.
In the UK, if you do 8 or 9 miles, it would be 10 to 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. If you can get on the big roads and you're bombing along at 60, you just gobble up the miles. But yeah, it's all little roads, isn't it?
So in Guernsey, it's all low gear use and everything, and you get through loads of fuel and for the distance and all the rest of it.
Mm. So, it's not quite as far for me to get to the shed, but that's why I pretty much always take the coast route, because you get it on the coast road. And yes, for those people who are watching from outside of Guernsey, our max speed limit over here is 35 miles an hour. I'll just wait for a moment while that sinks in, and until the laughter dies down. In some places it's 25, and some places around school it's, I think, down to 20 in some places. But max speed limit is 35. So bimbling along the coast road where there's very few junctions, nice view, just not stopping and starting, just I do much prefer driving along the coast road. That's my preference. Now, sneaking into the background here.
Have you lost your microphone?
I don't know. Can you not hear me? Oh, I don't know. Oh, Dan says he can hear me. Dan has snuck into the background. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
No noise.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me, Alan?
Oh yes. Yes, I can hear you.
That's all right. You only need to hear me. Don't worry about Marcel. He'll be all right.
That's all right. Yeah, okay.
I can hear Marcel perfectly well.
Glib, sprottle, glob, mitzly, mootle, mugly.
No.
Oh, he's off on that language thing again. Hello.
Oh, hang on. Oh, God.
You need some
Marcel,
more blue tack.
No noise from you.
Great. Enjoy. So Dan is calling from. Now I'm going to shoot myself in the foot now because I actually wrote it down.
Don't worry, mate.
On a piece of paper on my desk.
Oh, Marcel, you're back.
I'm back.
I can hear you again now.
Look. Maybe there's a dodgy cable. That's extremely strange that Dan could hear me, but you couldn't. So
yeah,
go figure.
Now I can.
Nothing is strange in this world anymore.
You can hear me, but you gladly swap places with someone who can't. I know. It's the old preacher's joke. Can you all hear me? Dan, it's nice to see you again. Dan calling from Shoebury or Snowbury or Snewbury or Dewbury or near Devizes.
Snewbury on the Marsh, as it's Westbury in Wiltshire. I mean, there's 3 Westburys. We're the Westbury with the white concrete horse on the hill. Though travellers from a distance wouldn't necessarily know it was concrete.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes,
okay.
It is concrete, isn't it? I actually went to visit it about 4 or 5 years ago. It used to be carved out of chalk, and somebody sorted out the long-term maintenance of it by covering it in concrete.
They did, and that might have had something to the fact that there was a blue circle cement factory directly underneath it, and just above and to the side is one of the most enormous chalk pits in the world for the making of cement.
Wow, right. So they probably offered to do it for free.
I think so, and it was Lafarge, the French company, that took it over, and then they eventually stopped production. I think about 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's enough of Le Concrete. We'll do it somewhere else. Dan, it's really nice to see you. Well, actually, while you're having a sup, what are you drinking, and what are you dringing from today?
Well, this is my morning coffee, which has been now transferred to the afternoon, reheated, and in a large, spangly red mug, a very large one. See, there it looks even larger, but here it's just further away.
I used to do a lot of spearfishing, and that was one of the things you soon learned when you caught a fish. You didn't take a photograph with the fish was here. You always stood back over here and put your arms towards the camera, and, like you see my fist. And suddenly, it's a big fish, and it takes up most of the frame. To be honest, I never had that problem myself. All my fish were of really good size, I must admit. Myself and I am drinking from an Isle of Man TT Racers mug.
Wonderful.
As a shout out to Nick, one of our regulars from the Isle of Man, and also to Mr. Isle of Man Sheds over there, Stephen Marsh, who I've been emailing backwards and forwards the last couple of weeks, seeing about getting an Isle of Man show sorted out.
Great.
So that's for you chaps in the Isle of Man. And I've only got it, I think, because my sister went to the Isle of Man with a friend of hers about 30 years ago. I wonder if it's dated on the bottom. No dates.
I was watching one of those spectacular little YouTube things that come up from time to time. Oh, lovely. Look at that. The Olympic one.
That's fancy. What are you drinking, Alan?
It's just water.
Fair enough.
It's the London Olympics 2012 glass.
Wow.
One that Renata brought back.
Seems like only yesterday. I believe they're going to show reruns of that fairly shortly, if all else fails.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
Yeah, no, I've heard as much. But I was watching a YouTube thing yesterday on the subject of the Isle of Man, and it was a wonderful YouTube documentary about early American board. They used to race motorbikes on boards like velodromes.
Oh,
and
yes, yeah.
Hellishly dangerous pastime, in which the average lifespan was probably about 6 months or so.
Is that
people getting involved.
Thing, or
It was a very popular sport right at the very beginning of the and I believe that probably at the end of the would have been the 19th century, wouldn't it? Beginning of the 20th. And it was like the first motorcycle sort of proper sport, and they had to build these because they didn't have anything suitable to race them on. So they built these sort of velodromes out of 2x4. Lots of 2x4. I believe that inspired a lot of the people who were involved at the Isle of Man right at the very beginning. This is the kind of, I don't, it's certainly not my expert subject, but I just watched a YouTube thing. What can I say?
So they were hoping to build a wooden road all the way around the Isle of Man then.
Yeah. I was talking to Nick in the Isle of Man last week, and he was saying, oh, happy birthday, Nick, by the way. He was saying that they've got a road up the mountain, what have you, that's got no speed limit. Therefore, people just go for it. Yeah, I dread to think. Gives me the willies just thinking about it. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you just did.
Good. That sounds reasonable.
I like that logo. Very nice. Can you see? Is that is that actually where it is? There.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Guernsey.
Yeah.
It's behind you. You can't pick it up and take it away though.
And it twizzles every now and then, which is nice.
You're getting ever so professional, Marcel. I have to say, I was really impressed with your little thing you put together earlier in the week. Like, was it like a 5-minute thing? Was that to do with the BBC? Has it been mentioned?
It hasn't been mentioned yet. No, we're going to get to that in a second, but we'll stick that up. 5 minutes sounds great. It was 50 seconds. But as we all know, it's not the length.
Well, saves anybody getting bored.
Yes, no chance of that. And the kick in the pills was that they edited the end bit off. The website, and I'm not complaining because they played it and that was lovely. But
that's a lesson to you to put it in before the end. You see,
stick the website in all the way through as a little bug.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't dilly about. It's something I've learned actually, having done presentations over the years. And this is my little tuppenny worth of advice for anybody who has to make a presentation: is get straight to it. Get to the. Don't build up to it because you'll run out of time. get straight to it. And in fact, I'll perhaps come on to this in a bit. Maker Faire, virtual Maker Faire was running, or virtually Maker Faire was running this last week. And I watched a few presentations, and very often they were falling into the trap of, I'll get to it, I'll build up, I'll crescendo to the big thing, when actually my recommendation would be get in right from the start with, this is the thing, and then everyone knows where you're going, and it's exciting, and then you can peel it back and then build up again of this is how we get there, rather than doing 45 minutes of this is how we get there. And then the payoff is at the 45, 50 minute, and then it's sort of all too late. It's exciting. So the one I was watching in particular, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, was pewter desktop metal casting. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, particularly with kids, crazily enough. And the point there was that when I've been doing soldering workshops with kids and they melt solder with a soldering iron and they see liquid metal for the first time, the expression on their faces is absolutely amazing. Because normally for kids, metal is cold, hard, and sharp. And then suddenly, yes, it's hot, but it's liquid, shiny metal. It's mind-blowing. So I get really excited about that. So the idea of doing desktop pewter casting, because it's pretty low temperature, about 200 degrees, something like that, 205.
Right. Yeah. What's lead? Do you know offhand? Do you know what lead?
No.
Because I used to do make lead weights for fishing years ago with my dad. That was my only.
Yeah, sure. Same here. And it's probably about the same. We can Google it in a moment. It's probably about the same, isn't it? But the cool thing that I just hadn't conceived would be even possible, he was using a laser cutter to cut out pieces of MDF, 3mm, 6mm, or whatever, and then in CAD, engraving it with, let's say he's making a coin or a medal or something. He was able to engrave both sides and then put one in the middle, which acts as the spacer, and that's got the void of it. Clamp it together, pour the molten pewter in at just over 200 degrees, and it doesn't just burn the MDF off.
Wow.
It's able to contain and doesn't burn kind of at all, which blew me away. We've got a laser at the Makerspace and Men's Shed, so guess what I'm going to be doing soon? But it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
that wasn't the same
lead medals.
That wasn't the same laser that was etching fig rolls the other week, was it?
No.
I did see something like that. I don't know whether that was on your Facebook of Men's Shed Guernsey. Someone was actually using a laser etcher on a fig roll because they got bored, and it looked amazing. It was really cool.
Yeah. The only non-proper lasery stuff that we've done was when we first had it, and we just laser etched the top of the bread roll when it was bacon o'clock on a Saturday, which is, and we just lasered the Men's Shed logo over the top.
Brilliant.
But it was a quickie, and we hadn't set up the settings and all that, so it is what it was. So Mark Croft in Reddit says he's near Birmingham / Worcestershire. All that good stuff. And he also suggests super glue. I'm thinking he might be talking about your earplugs, Alan. Just a little bit of super glue. Jam it in.
Yeah, sort of permanent fixture in my ear.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other suggestion was I've got 4 tin cans and some string. Thanks, Mark. We might need that yet. Now, also,
given the Guernsey is quite small, we could have bits of string with lying all over the island with tin cans on each end.
Perfect. Yeah, it's funny, but I was thinking this is going off on a tangent. I had to pop out earlier, and I was driving along thinking that yes, COVID-19's thrown society into a tiswas, and I was thinking back to our Liberation special, May the 9th or May 6th, as the show was. And thinking if we were occupied again, and God forbid that should happen, but you just don't know. if we were occupied again, one of the things that would kill society would be the internet. If we've not been driving and we've not been going to the shops so much, and all these things have shut down. But we've all kind of carried on. Look, in this forum, we're sort of doing stuff online. But if somebody wanted to kind of really shut down society and get you under the thumb, you'd turn the internet off, wouldn't you? So then the question is, what do we do instead? What else have we got? Homebrew.
True freedom.
My garden and vegetables are looking very good this year, so that's
That'll see you through. Yeah. Now, that's a complete aside. So, lurking in the background, we also have Neil. Come into Neil. Earth to Neil. Come in, Neil.
Afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
I've just come down from a tree. I've been putting. Bloody hell. Yeah. How do? Afternoon, all. Afternoon.
Hello, Neil. All right, mate.
What have you been doing up a tree?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
What have you been up to?
My son has a partner. The father-in-law makes these bird boxes, beautiful bird boxes, and he offered us one for about 50 quid. And I thought, I thought that's a good idea, because we have every sparrow in the neighbourhood. We don't get any posh birds in our garden. We just get sparrows, sometimes 20 odd of them. So we decided we'd make a home, see if they'd like to nest. But of course, I go down, have a look at this thing, and I have to go down to Godia's to get the longest posts they've got. So I got some cementcrete and I cemented it in, and you have to get the angle at northeast, because the bird boxes apparently have to only face northeast, otherwise they don't like it. They don't like the getting up with the sun in the morning, and they don't like going to bed with the sun going down. So I've got that exactly right, dead chuffed with that, because actually I've got a compass on my phone, so that could work that one out. So then I had to realise I had to get the longest pole they've got, and up the top, and then of course to climb up, because there's already a tree there, to get a ladder. And then if you've got something which is sort of wider than your arms, and you're trying to put a screw, because I'd already put the board up, the backing board, but to try and hold it and get a screw in at the same time without swearing all the time. God, yeah. So I've just finished doing that little job. So if the sparrows don't move in, I'll tell you, I'm not feeding the little buggers anymore. They cost me a fortune. Oh, and I've got no, that's not true. I've got a wood pigeon with a wonky wing.
Oh,
and he sort of lives at our house. He does nip off. He doesn't nip off for very long. Oh, he lived for years. He goes in, he helps himself to all the food which is on the floor.
Can you put this on your tax return with dependents?
Yeah. Well, I think, I think you should be able to, really. Tax returns, what are they? Oh, yeah, I've done mine this year yet. I've got it already, I just haven't done it. Oh, well, that's a bit depressing tax, isn't it? I don't want to think about things like that at the moment. No. I'll tell you what I was thinking about, though. I was thinking about spuds. I don't know. Oh. When I finish here, we're going to go take the dogs for a walk. And what I've done, I've been a bit clever. I've just baked a chicken up in my gas container oven. The one I made from the men's shed. The gas bottle, which is now all singing and dancing baking oven. Awesome. So I've roasted the chicken up in it today.
Come on, all round the
garlic and herbs, and it's well,
see ya.
Sorry, yeah.
I timed
it off because I thought, well, it's going to take about an hour, and it did. Yeah, because you've got to get these things to 75 degrees or 74 degrees. That is the secret of all roasting. It's got to get, except for beef, we could have rare, but for chicken, and it took it up to 74 degrees. Absolutely super. So I was quite chuffed. There's a winner on that one. So there's a good part. And the next thing I had to do was disinfect the bins out. So that's the thing about my husband, isn't it? You have about 30 different jobs a day to do. So, I told you this morning my wife was retired.
Oh, yeah.
My wife retired on Friday. That retirement lasted a weekend. She's back to work now. She's not retired anymore.
Oh dear, what's she doing now?
Official retirement, she's not.
What's she found?
No, she's hairstylist. The thing is, there's so many people wanting to get the hair. Look, if she just stopped right now, all her clients down at Hair Tech would have had nowhere to go because all the girls are booked up. Everybody's like crazy. All the women want their hair done.
Yeah.
And of course, there's queues of people wanting it done. And of course, if there were no spare girls to do her clients because they're all booked up. So of course, so she's back in again. I think she's working Sunday even. Yeah, I mean, that's just, these ladies now all of a sudden can say, wow, I thought, well, that's just, they've all been saving their pennies up, I expect, and going to have all the bits done, and they'll be walking around town, swanning around, won't they? Look, I've just had my hair done.
Won't they look fabulous?
Which will be good because now we can go bar mealing, and
yeah,
they will look absolutely wonderful. Yeah, then they'll be all happy. Husbands will have a break, won't they? They won't have the wife moaning at them, Well, I think they'll have a break anyway. So yeah.
Alrighty.
So what's new in the men's shed? Anything exciting?
Oh, well, yeah. Alan's been busy.
Oh, it's got to about Spuds.
Yeah, I've been up at the shed by myself 3 or 4 times, I suppose. Yeah, and getting my boat sorted out
with the mouse.
Mm-hmm. With the mouse.
Well,
no, I haven't seen any mouse. No. Is there a mouse there?
Not at the moment, I don't think.
He knows there's no bacon o'clock. That's what it is.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
We're starving them out now.
No, I haven't had any bacon sandwiches. But then I haven't been there on a Saturday, so it's so I'm sure there's somebody there.
No, they only come on Saturday. So yeah. Yeah.
Now it got mentioned before, but let's jab this in now. I had a recent call, probably a fortnight ago almost, from the BBC down in Jersey, and who
to Jersey,
all the way down there, and they're responsible for, I think it's BBC in the Channel Islands. Their news program is Spotlight. We get their own thing, which is kind of, I think it includes the Southwest as well. And they said, we're doing a Make a Difference campaign. We've heard about the Men's Shed SHEDcast. We love what you're doing. Would you do a bit to camera for us and send us a few clips? And I said, yes. They asked for 30 seconds, and I confirmed that with them. They said, well, 30-ish. So this is what I cobbled together, and I did the whole thing because I thought, I can. Let's bang the whole thing together. And it's not perfect. I'd like to do it again. But this took a couple of hours. And, well, there you go. So I thought I'd play it out. This went out last weekend. And they played it out 2 or 3 times, I think. But anyway, let's show you this and then we'll come back. There you go. Since lockdown, the Men's Shed in Guernsey have been running SHEDcast live streams on YouTube and Facebook.
But it was actually built around about 1965.
It's been a way of connecting our shedders locally, but also stretching our view to sheds in the UK, and this week, even sheds in Australia.
I am hankering for the mateship.
We talk about projects and ideas for creative activities. We've talked about the occupation and liberation. We talk about the difference shedding makes to people's lives. And we also talk about biscuits and tea. You know, the important stuff. We'd love for you to join us. Take a look at sheds.gg. Ta-da!
Very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks. It was great. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the only bugbear was that they chopped the last little bit, the sheds bit. Sheds GG on the end.
The sound.
Oh.
Did they have your little logo on at the beginning though? Your very, very lovely new logo, which you're using.
It should have been
on the beginning.
Yeah.
Really nice. I really like that. It's good. Excellent job. Well done.
Thank you. It was really nice to get that played out, and just shout about what we can be doing. Who we're seeing because of it, I don't know, but it's all good. It's all good. And Mark Croft, thank you very much. Says, well done. Thank you. Bit of fun. Now, Alan, can you hear me? I take that as a no. I might mute his mic while he's fiddle-faffling.
There he is, back in. Hello, Alan.
Are you on, Alan?
Yeah, hello. Here I am.
Can you hear us all?
But I still can't hear Marcel. That's what I was trying to do.
What on earth is that about? Dan,
Sorry, mate.
you've been naughty.
Yeah, I thought you were playing, but Marcel, I can't. You're making no noise, Marcel.
Weird. That is so weird. I can't think technically within the system we've got. I can't think what would be causing that. Just as a random, I'll unplug my headphones. This could be a bit silly for a second. Hang on. And then that's on the laptop mic.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. It's really good.
And that's why we don't
can't.
use laptop mics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still can't hear Marcel.
Oh.
That is very weird. And annoying, because I was about to say, let's come to Alan and talk about his boat.
I could just go and carry on.
I tell you what, Alan. While Marcel can't talk to you, why don't you talk to us about your boat?
Yeah,
which I'm very impressed with, by the way. I love the bit on the first SHEDcast, I think it was, wasn't it?
Right.
Oh, right.
Over to
that
Dan.
Was in that little
I'm going to remove Neil,
Marcel
and I'll remove myself. And I'll get out of here, and Neil and I'll sit in the background while you two get on with it. I'll put the video.
I can't lip read.
So, Alan, how's it going? Your boat was absolutely beautiful. What I saw of it on the first SHEDcast program. You've been in there getting on with it. What have you been up to?
Oh, right. Yeah, that was that one 11 weeks ago. Wasn't it? Yes, time was going by, and then the Guernsey people said, yeah, people can go out in their boats now if they want to. So I thought, right, okay, I've got to get it painted and everything. And I'm now putting Dexolia on it. It's a Norwegian boat paint. It's oil. It's like painting on water. And this is the rudder from when I converted it to a sailing boat about 10 years ago or more, I suppose. And this was the second rudder. I managed to break the first one. And but yeah, the boat itself has been all cleaned out. The gunwale has been painted white, as is traditional, because it's a Norwegian boat. And and I've painted the inside of the boat, oiled it, and this was me yesterday painting the floorboards in this case, and the rudder, and all the mast and all the bits and pieces that go inside the boat. There's just such an enormous amount of stuff, and I'm about halfway through doing that. But
is that an oil that dries? Does it dry to a?
Yes, it dries to a satin finish. Yeah, and all the silver dots in the boat are because it's held together with iron rivets, and well, normally these boats in Norway would be expected to have a life of 10, 15, 20 years, hard working life. Iron rivets are really, really strong, much stronger than copper. But of course, this one is now 50 years old, 55 years old, and the rivets were starting to go a bit rusty. So I've been using Rust-Oleum high zinc paint to, putting Cure Rust on them, and then Rust-Oleum high zinc paint to cover them over, and then covering them with the oil, and that keeps them going for several years, and then you have to work through it again and everything. But it's good. Oh, I've still got to paint the bilges inside. You see that dirty grey strip at the bottom. I've got to find some paints to paint on that. I might just go with linseed oil, the raw linseed oil, to soak into the wood, and that will stay probably a little bit sticky, but it's underneath the floorboards anyway, so it doesn't matter. Exactly, it's just protecting, isn't it? You tell me that, just from my perspective, those iron rivets, have you replaced any of those in the past? Have you had no, I've had to do some along the garboard, but the boards right along beside the keel were nailed in using smaller nails, and they actually managed to break through. I think there's quite a lot of stresses there. So I've replaced those with some replacement nails that I managed to get from Norway. And when I needed more, I thought I could use stainless steel screws, really. And so I've done that, and I'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to get it sorted out and in the sea this year.
It's absolutely
what I've just moved across. Oh yeah. Yeah, these are the thwarts for the boat. It's much different to English boats, and the dark one is an old original one. The light one that I'm just about to start painting is a new one that I made over the winter in the men's shed, and the old one, when the boat sunk last autumn, I had a bit of a problem. It went down to the gunnels, and water came in, and it stayed floating and didn't do much damage, but a few loose bits of equipment in the boat went floating off. So I've had to make quite a few new bits and pieces. So this thwart, the seat, is one of them.
Were you in any danger at that time, or was that close to shore?
Oh no, it was moored. I was on holiday in Scotland, and the boat was moored off in Guernsey, and my own silly fault, I have a car battery to drive the pump, and to stop the battery from going flat, I had a small solar panel. And unfortunately, the last time I was in the boat, my foot caught a wire. I didn't think any more of it. And
I get you. I understand what's happening here.
In retrospect, it was the solar panel wire pulling off the battery, and so it didn't charge up anymore. So about a week and a half after we've gone on holiday, a kind person sort of sorted out, put on Facebook that the boat had sunk. Whose boat was it? And so a few friends and things got it sorted out for me. So brought it ashore, and it's been ashore ever since. So this year I've repaired an awful lot of the leaks in the boat.
Is that me? I'm back. Hello. Oh, we're back again. Sorry, I disappeared there for a second.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I've got multiple coloured bits of wood in the boat. It's all the same sort of wood, but the dark brown wood is the very oldest, original with the boat. The rudder that I'm painting there was made about 10 years ago, and the thwart on the left is a brand new one, never been on the sea yet.
It's lovely. What? Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I was going to say I'm hoping that in about 2 or 3 weeks' time the boat will be back down in the sea, and I'll be going out to fetch mackerel, and then my peas and new potatoes will be ready to have mackerel, peas, and new potatoes from the for tea one night.
That's perfect. It must be taking up quite a bit of room there, is it? I'd imagine.
Yes, yeah, that's why the original plan was that it would be there for 5 or 6 weeks and then be out. But unfortunately, coronavirus got in the way, so the work didn't get done on the boat, and there aren't enough people to get together to go there to move it or anything. So it's I thought, right, I've just got to get in before Men's Shed is opened officially, and get this work done.
And to be honest, it's a perfect project to sort of start the sort of new normal, really, isn't it? Because even if you don't get it out of there straight away, you can have sort of other people helping you at distance just for a day or so, getting this and then getting it back into the water. When I was doing the Shed Happens show with Patrick, we were interviewing some people in Hawaii. At the Honolulu Men's Shed, and they had some people there were making some of these racing what are they called, the canoes that they make down there, and apparently they've got a huge shed, and it's one of those things, boat building, that I just love. So it's really so enjoyable, isn't it? That's lovely.
Well, this is certainly the first time I've ever had a shed available to do work on the boat, and it's amazing, unbelievable. Mostly it's been outside, and it's a bit grim trying to find the right weather and everything. Great. Really enjoy it.
Oh, fabulous! Now, is Marcel managed to be back with us yet? Are you there, Marcel? Aha!
Salute.
As if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and with sound.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yes, yeah.
Oh, how about that?
So
Marvelous.
what's the problem with your microphone then, Marcel?
The weird thing is that the other guys can hear me. And it's just you. I mean, no offense, but it's just you. And yet you can hear the other guys. So that makes no sense whatsoever. So there's something proper weird going on there.
Well, it's probably me that's got some brainwaves or something are affecting my computer.
Now we've got one more video, which I'll just slam it over the top of all of us because it has audio. Thank you, Dan. So this one here, and I'll just put it up over the top of everything. It's rather pretty, isn't it? There we go, and then we'll play that. No, we'll play that.
Right, there's the cleat. It's basically cut out of a piece of wood, not dissimilar to this, except that it's that. And you mark out the width of the cleat multiple times, and then you drill holes there and there. Oh, and you cut the length to the overall size. And once you've drilled the holes, then you saw each piece, the overall width of that. And then when you've got the cleat, you saw, when it's all together, you saw down to the hole from each side at the right angle. And then use a rat tail file for finding out the rounded bits there, so it's round on the end where the rope goes around. And then a spoke shave or a chisel if you wanted to, for taking out the top of the cleats just hollow. And then the screw holes go through just behind where the rope goes through, so that when that's screwed down onto the mast or whatever, that makes it as strong as it possibly can be. So there you are, a handmade cleat, and
that must be so lovely to use.
It just works really, really well. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. So much better than buying a stainless steel or aluminium ones or anything like that. So there you are, how to make a cleat.
Super. Express thanks to Alan for that, but also to Alex, who very last minute yesterday, while Alan was up there, was able to sneak in and film that for me, whilst I did a StreamYard to his phone and I recorded it and then edited it up for today. So it's all been a bit of a bodge job.
Yeah, it was quite funny because he arrived with his camera but didn't have enough memory left on it to do the filming. Not directly, anyway. So
what do you do, eh? We got a message just come in from Adrian on YouTube. Great to see work is progressing. Right. Do I need to place a mackerel order now? Yes, I do.
And he'll be getting them because...
Join the queue, Adrian.
Yeah. So, Adrian's my son, and he comes out fishing with me. So it's whether that will happen straight away now, I don't know. When we'll have to see what happens with coronavirus distancing and everything. So,
well, as I mentioned before, there's 0 known cases in Guernsey now. I heard a rumor that there was this high-level discussion about going straight on Saturday to phase 5 and skipping phase 4 altogether, which is crazy. Whether that will actually happen or not, I don't know. I think phase 5, you've still got to sanitize your bits and bobs, but you can go around kissing people just willy-nilly. So that's kind of nice, isn't it? So yeah, quite what that means, I don't know. But the big news, and we'll come to discuss this afterwards, the big news is that we are going to be opening the shed on Saturday, all things being well. And we'll have a discussion about that shortly. Let's just squeeze Neil in. Hello, Neil. Earth to Neil. Come in, Neil. There he is. Splendid. You're still with us. Good
Hello,
man.
yeah, back again. Yeah. Yeah. I've got another 5 or 10 minutes, and I've got to make a shift off then because I've just got to get something done.
Oh, right.
But Saturday you open up again.
Yeah, that's the rumour. Now the question
this
for you,
Saturday or the following Saturday?
This Saturday. This Saturday. Yeah, we're going for it. Can you hear me?
Right, this Saturday.
Yeah, and
I can hear you.
The question to you, Neil, is how's your barbecue, and could it come up for its first shed outing on Saturday?
Sounds like bacon to me.
No, but it will be the following week. It won't be this week. It'll be the following week. We can do a bit on there, but it won't be this week. It'll be the following, because the oven and the barbecue are two separate things, you see.
Ah, okay, right.
The oven and the barbecue are separate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because we all fit on that. The idea was on that big roller thing I've got.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you. There's quite a delay, so we've got to be a bit careful with each other. The reason for asking is that, as per normal, our shed has 12:30 is bacon o'clock on a Saturday, and that means bacon butties for anyone that turns up. And just for the wider audience to say, if there's anyone locally who happens to need feeding of a Saturday lunchtime, come out to the shed out St. Peter's, come and grab a bacon butty. There's no obligation to lift a finger or do anything, but just rock up, come and get yourself a brew and a bacon butty. And it's a really nice way of just building community. Be great to meet you. Obviously, Mark Croft, who's been chipping in the background from Redditch, probably won't be over because we're still keeping our borders closed. And same for you, Dan. Sorry. There's Mark just chipping in the background. You're tempting me to pop over for bacon. Yes, we are.
As long as Mark is aware that if he comes over, it'll actually be 2 Saturdays before he gets the bacon butties, because he'll have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Yeah. Well, just book your holidays now. Why not? Yeah. Cool.
So we'll need some bacon. I'll get.
Well, the thinking was, and this is why I was asking about the barbecue, we might need to improvise on that front, is that when it comes to bacon o'clock, so the rules for sheds, we'll get into this afterwards, are probably going to be masks on in the shed. We'll just enforce masks. No one's telling us to, but it just seems like at this stage it makes sense if we all mask up, because it's sometimes hard to keep your 2 meter distance in the shed. So let's all wear masks, because that's no biggie. No one's going to get hurt by that, apart from guys who are hard of hearing and can't lip read. That's unfortunate, but it would help, I think. And then the thinking is that when it comes to food, at bacon o'clock, that we go outside and it's all sort of served. So somebody will be nominated as sauce man. So not everybody has to handle the sauce bottles. Whoever's going to do the cooking, whoever's going to do the cooking, you'll do the cooking and slap it in there. Just tip out the loaf of bread, and you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So we'll try and minimise contact. We can all sit around outside. Bring a sun hat. That's going to be the top advice, and do it that way.
Well, main thing, yeah.
So we'll work something out. We had a barbecue up at the shed, but Neil, you kind of condemned it.
Well, give me the time. Oh, crikey. Condemned. It was a barbecue. It was about 50 years obsolete, wasn't it? I mean, it was rusty and but I'll have a look tomorrow. I've got some time. I'll see if I can cobble something together for Saturday, okay? Barbecue-wise, okay? Because what I've been trying to get hold of is a second-hand barbecue which somebody's chucking out to get the grill plates, you see. But that's what I'm missing. That's all I'm missing is the grill plates. But every time I've gone on Facebook, because everything's been locked down, nobody's come back with any, there must be loads of old barbecues floating around. Yeah. And of course, at one time, we could go down to the States tip, go into the big buckets, the big bins, and help yourself to what's ever there. And of course, we're not allowed to do that anymore. So I have to rely on somebody, who's chucking something out to let me know, and I can get the grill plates. having said that, we'll have a look because I might be able to use the grill plates on Saturday from my own barbecue. So I'll have a look at it tomorrow.
I've got
And
a
then we'll
slightly
take it from there.
debunked barbecue outside as well. I'll have to look at how rusty they are, because the last thing I want to do is bring up something that's rusty and then get an earful from Neil about rusty grills. So yeah,
You just soak the rust in oil. It's fine. Cooking oil.
I totally agree. And a bit of iron for fortitude. I mean, in your bacon.
Yeah, quite.
Now, message in from Mark.
Anyway,
can he wear his Dominic Cummings mask? Everything's gone very quiet.
How will you know it's not the real one?
Is that the one you have to wear when you're travelling 260 miles? Is it?
Wow. Goodness me! Don't get me started.
I'm going to suggest.
Anyway, guys, I've got to make a move.
No worries.
I've got to make a move. So I will sort out this barbecue thing tomorrow, and I'll give you a call.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Neil.
Nice to see you, Neil. Take care, and good luck. Yeah. Good luck with everything.
Okay, so I'll call you tomorrow regarding barbecue.
Right. I'll see you Saturday.
Real.
Okay, then we go. Sorry. Cheers.
Now, the reason I'm slightly distracted is because the chickens have just broken in through the door here.
I thought that was a strange chicken cam-like noise going on there.
I'm just rustling up chicken cam right now. If I go to cam, if I go to my settings, let's see if I can. That's audio settings. That's camera settings. How do I change cam? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's front camera and back camera. It always goes to the wrong camera. And then if I zoom in, I see yes. Okay. Right, now let's see if I can zoom in. I don't know if I can, but over there, there's the chickens. The chickens are restless. Look over there in the kitchen.
Oh yes.
Bark.
Oh, that's too much. That's too much freedom for a chicken. That is far too much freedom for a chicken.
It's not looking for the oven, is it?
Is it? Well, it's a good job. It's a good job Neil hasn't gassed them yet. Keep them away from Neil.
Yeah.
For the meantime.
Okay, look, chaps. Let's go for a short 5 to 10 or 15-minute break. We'll get back here in half an hour. Put the kettle on. Go for a wee. We'll see you in a minute. Let's see if we can show that.
Right. Yep.
Hello and welcome back.
Aha!
Can you hear me, mother?
Almost there. Hold on.
My computer is on a major go slow. So it's a little bit tricky for me right now. My mic is muted, it tells me.
Oh, not to me, it isn't.
Ah, okay. Well, this is all a bit random. My computer has gone into a major go slow. Nick in the Isle of Man has been in touch saying, oh, can you send me the link? So I've just sent him the link. Well, I'm just trying to send him the link, but that means opening another browser in the background. And then my computer has gone, no. So it's just on a crawl.
It's horrible when they go slow, isn't it? Isn't it horrible when they go slow and you just think, oh no, what's happening now?
To a halt, yeah. So, it's almost coming back, but it is still very, very slow.
I can see it's a bit clunky. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Now, unfortunately, we've lost Neil. He's had to go off on a job. But maybe he'll pop back later. We'll have to see. Let's just see what else. He was going to talk about cooking and welding, and we've touched on his barbecue project, which is the welding cooking sort of mingled in a way. But we shall see where we go after that. Oh, it's almost catching up with me. Almost. Oh my word, this is dreadful. I'm terribly sorry about this. This is slightly embarrassing.
Now, look, this is an entirely amateur, not your amateur production, but this is an amateur production in general. And you must never apologise for the sheer brilliance that has been the SHEDcast. So well done to you.
I've said it more than once, but I'll say it again. Never let anyone accuse us as being professional, because that's just not on. So yeah, Mark Croft just commented on the chickens. I'm sort of back to life again now. It might actually hang together. There we go. The chickens are looking chlorine bath. That's disgusting, Mark. That is disgusting.
That's after they've been gassed.
And he says, "Take care, Neil." So yeah, there's a bit of a lag. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Now, I was talking to emailing back and forth with Patrick Abrams from the Froome Shed earlier, and he was mentioning that his stress levels were up at 11 on I'm going to have to say this, on Dominic Cummings. I tend to live in a serene little bubble where I don't consume mainstream news media and all that tosh. I used to get the local newspaper, but it ground me down, to be honest. And I used to watch the news and it ground me down. I don't need that. But what's the crack? I understand he's been running around the country when he should have been locked down. Is that correct?
It is. I mean, I'm very much like you, Marcel, in that I really do keep my news intake to an absolute minimum from well-trusted internet sources. Now, I've got a few YouTube channels that I watch of new media, new progressive media, which I tend to trust. And this is clearly the most ludicrous of situations banked on top of, from my perspective, a lot of other ludicrous scenarios that have got us to this stage in the first place. And yes, my understanding, though I have watched little, as I've explained to you, but my understanding is exactly that he's flouted the rules as put down by his own office and the SAGE advisory. And so he has been the onion to SAGE and rightly stuffed everything. So I think it's obvious to most who look on it that it's a completely untenable position that he and many others within the government have. But who are we to make any suggestions that they may have done something unprofessional, silly, dangerous, lives have been lost? But it completely beggars belief, and certainly people who consume more and talk about media more than I are absolutely up in arms about the whole thing. It's deeply upset a lot of people. I mean, personally in the family here, I've spoken to both my mother and my mother-in-law in the last 2 days, and they were really, they, as older ladies, were actually really depressed about it. Neither of them are Tory voters. I'm sure they didn't vote necessarily for this government or whatever else, but they still have a degree of these people are in charge. They must know what's going on, right? So, and I think it's just absolutely knocked some people for 10 that that this level of incompetence can be not only happen in the first place, but then be explained away on national media in a way that completely beggars belief. Yeah, I think that's about. I mean, I could, if I went on about it, I'd probably say a lot more of the same. But
it's from what I've gleaned, just people bumbling around in the background. It seems pretty clear cut to me, but there seems to have been an awful lot it's mushroomed out to being a much bigger story, when actually, if it was anybody else, they'd have been slam dunked, and it wouldn't probably have even made the news.
Yeah.
But when you put yourself in that position of leadership, you do put yourself up to a higher level of scrutiny, and you do the laws of the land still apply to you. So anyway,
well, some scrutiny, I mean, to at least if he had been drunk behind the wheel, he'd have a good excuse for driving to see if his vision came back. I mean, this was kind of the excuses he was given, was that he drove 30 miles in one direction and then 30 miles back just to check if his vision was good enough, because he'd been suffering, that he could drive to London. Were you not aware of that simple fact? That's just one of them.
oh, that's magic.
And
wow.
yes, but he'd been very happy to strap his child in the back seat and have his wife in the passenger seat next to him whilst he was on this trip, this
mute my
round
mic.
trip.
If I'm going to respond to that, I need to mute my mic.
Well, there you go. I mean, it is crazy, and you can when you go off in any tangent and you start looking at any element of what actually happened, the story, the excuses that have been given, what other people have been saying about this, how the news have been reported it. When you actually go back right to the beginning, and you just look at the basic facts, that he'd got in his car knowing that he was suffering from this thing, drove 300 miles up the motorway to his father's estate, and his excuse was to take his child up there, to effectively leave his child with older relatives, which is like, I mean, no disrespect to the child, but that's a little bit like pulling the pin out of a grenade and throwing it in a house and say, I don't know whether this child's suffering, you'll have to find out.
Yeah,
and that was the whole premise for his trip in the first place. But as I say, I one could so easily go off in 1,000 different directions, and every single element is one, very unpleasant fetid raisin in an unpleasant tasting salad, really. Yeah.
Nicely put. Thank you.
Do my best. Did you mention the Maybe show at the beginning? Because I missed your first 5 minutes. Did you mention Maybe?
I haven't majored on that, no.
Okay.
So Alan, not Alan. I'll come to Alan in a second, who's just sitting around in the background. So Mark Croft up in Redditch says, I'm loving the SHEDcast. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for joining us. It's really great to have you with us. And Nick has joined us now from the Isle of Man. Look, Nick, this is for you. Isle of Man TT races for you and Stephen Marsh, who's Mr. Sheds over in Isle of Man. I'm trying to hook these two boys up. It's not happening yet, but I'm going to make it happen. So that's cool. And then in the background, Mark has also been sending me some photographs. He's very prolific. This is great. So let's add this to the stream. This is Mark's new washing line.
Oh.
And I'm assuming that this is the uppy bit, and that's the sort of pulley thing going on there. What else have we got? Oh yeah, runners for the rope to run through. Come on, computer, catch up. There we go.
Splice the main brace.
And then some fancy metalwork at the end.
Very professional.
Eyes to run through. Oh yeah, that is dandy. Well, I like the idea of actually putting. That's clever. Look, sort of putting the it's a pole clamp, and then putting a screw eye on the end.
I would call that an exhaust clamp.
Yeah, okay,
but you're right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. That's nifty. That's inventive, isn't it?
There's one they used to have in the big apartment buildings in America, and they pull the thing across between the buildings. Yeah.
and Italy and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a view of the sort of slightly wider view. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. So if anybody watching the SHEDcast right now has got any laundry that needs doing, round to Mark's at Redditch. And he also calls them exhaust clamps. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for tuning in.
Good. Yeah.
Rubbish. Marvelous. Okay. Cool. Let's get Alan back into the fray. Can you hear me, Alan?
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll gladly swap places with someone who can't. I'm also going to switch over to chicken cam. Just because I can. Look, there's chickens in the garden. Oh, having a quick flap. just because.
Back where they belong now, are they?
Yeah, outside. Yeah.
Have you managed to source a bearded chicken?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. That would be so nice, wouldn't it?
Would be good. They're brilliant. Yeah, no, they're superb.
Yeah, I've had a few photographs sent to me on that front. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Nick has asked, can you hear my audio? No, that's not how this works. And Mark says, I got them from a car supplier. Okay, well, we'll let you off on the exhaust clamp nomenclature if you got it from a car. So Nick, no, you're just viewing. You can't swear at us via Facebook, which is a good thing. Now, I also had a shout from Ronnie, and now this is tricky. If I can just switch my other browser, this is tricky because Ronnie has said that he's watching, but he didn't know if he'd signed in on Facebook. I think, Ronnie, if you're still with us, I've noticed this before. I end up sharing, this gets published to the Men's Shed Guernsey page, but people who log in on and comment where I share it to, so like I've shared it to the UK Men's Shed Association page and other places like Makerspace Facebook page. I think when people comment there, it doesn't filter through to us. So if you're able to find the Men's Shed Guernsey page, then try chipping in from there. Sorry about that. And it's something that's only sort of come to my awareness in the last week or so. And without doing a test show, is that something you've noticed, Dan?
Well, I've preferred to use the YouTube channel. I've watched almost every show of yours, and I find that YouTube works very, very reliably, though I'm informed those that use the Facebook app that it's fine too, but I don't have the Facebook app. I don't believe in that. But,
yeah, fair enough. So if anyone wants to view on YouTube, how can I send the link? I don't think I can. That's going to be tricky in itself because the best thing to do, I can do this. The best thing to do is to go to sheds.gg/SHEDcast. So if you're a Facebook viewer and commenting, but it's not actually making it through to us, then go on to sheds.gg/SHEDcast. And if you just go to sheds.gg, there's a link on the front page. You can bounce through there, hit on the first, no, it's actually the second one in the list because I've put our promo video at the top of the list. Click on, this is show 11 that we're on, 27th of May. Click on that and it'll take you through to the Facebook side and then you can dive in from there. Does that make sense? Is that even possibly?
Yeah. Except you were talking about YouTube, weren't you? And you just mentioned Facebook. But did you go from one to the other? So if you just go to YouTube and just look up Men's Shed Guernsey, it's the only one there, and it'll. I think it's Men's Shed Guernsey and not Guernsey. It's Men's Shed Guernsey, isn't it? Yeah. And it comes up, and you got the little test card from the previous episodes. They're all there to watch, and they're all brilliant. There you go. I said it.
So now Mark's also chipping in again, saying we could do a whole show next week on my washing line if you want the most exciting thing that's happened in the last 7 days. Yeah, that's great, Mark. Thanks very much. Can we keep that as just as a maybe item?
Need a 4-into-1 washing line there for the exhaust job.
Nick says, good job. I'm talking rubbish, but loving the content. And then Mark comes in saying, Dan, what is our monkey called? What?
Oh, this monkey. This is Chimpa.
Oh. Oh, he likes it when you do that to him.
He does, yeah. I said he had a... My excuse is he had an unfortunate run-in with Danny Baker and I rescued him for him, but that's a long story. And if you don't watch much news, we won't go there either.
Okay, that's cleared that up. And then Nick says, I'm not quite sure what this means, Nick, Hope the shows are better than this. Lulz or lols. I'm not sure, but this is about as good as we get today. It was a bit of a maybe show. Dan alluded to that before. This week was going to be the maybe show because maybe Alan would be able to join us. Maybe Neil would be able to join us. And maybe Ed would be able to join us. Ed hasn't made it. Alan has. Neil has for a bit. The chickens have. So maybe that redeems. And then a last minute shout out to Patrick and Dan saying, hey, do you want to come and talk nonsense for a bit? That's paid off. Thanks, Dan.
Always happy. Always a pleasure.
That's great. Okay. And Mark is just adding in the YouTube link. But of course, I can only put it up on here, which is, it's now pixels. It's no longer text. So if you're on Facebook, then the YouTube link is there also. Thanks for doing that for us, Mark, our show producer in the background.
Where's the other one today? Is your other show producer in the house today?
My Padawan is at the beach with a friend.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
Sausage. Yeah, he's got a mate, and they've been sort of bubbling with their family. So they've all gone to the beach this afternoon. A very secluded beach, a place called Petty Port, where there's someone in Guernsey can correct me, maybe Alan, but there's something like 300 steps going down to it, and a similar number coming back up.
Possibly 365, but that may be the number of days in the year or something. So it's a lot.
Was thinking that as well.
So
Yeah.
did you say it was with a kayak or something?
No, just with a mate.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I was looking down there the other day and thinking it would be really nice to kayak around, but the only way of getting down there is Petitbon, really, isn't it?
Yeah, or maybe down to Saints Harbour.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a SHEDcast from Saints Harbour one day.
What's the sort of lurking dangers in the waters around you? Is it a nice place on a nice day to circumnavigate and have a bit of fun, or do you have sort of dodgy currents and things?
Inshore with kayaks and things, it's pretty much okay, but you've got to avoid very high tides and very low tides when the currents are strongest, and avoid the headlands and things where the sea can be washing past quite quickly. But there's some very sheltered bays. I mean, there's Grand Havre, the big bay at the north end of the island, is almost like an enclosed lake with tidal, tides going up and down.
And that's quite worrying. I've done a few sort of sea locks in Scotland where you're in a rowing boat doing a bit of fishing, and then all of a sudden the tide there's a sort of one of these roads made of boulders with roads over the top, and a small narrow bridge through the middle, and the water suddenly raises 10 feet for no reason. It will get a bit hairy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, see, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Guernsey's got one of the largest tidal ranges in the world. We see about 11 meters peak, 10.5, I think.
It's certainly 10
feet.
meters.
Yeah. Jersey gets a little bit more than us because they are tucked up in the bay of St. Malo. Yeah. And as the tide comes up the channel, it surges up into the bay of St. Malo. And at St. Malo, if you've ever been down that way, on the sort of mud flats there, the old adage is that it comes in faster than a galloping horse on a spring tide because it's so flat. Yeah. And it's got, I think, about 13, 14 meters to come up. So it's epic. That's cool. And Adrian's just chipped in. You can kayak around the island in a day if you go the right way around. Yeah, so you've got to work the tide to help you
at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, I'll be quite happy to kayak around the island in a day with Adrian, and when we're out of this coronavirus stuff.
Yeah.
And because AD actually, did he act as a guard kayak for somebody swimming around the island or something? I think he did.
That's familiar. You're listening to the dog, Dan. It's out on the road here.
All right.
It's not Daisy. She hasn't come in this room with me today. So.
Oh wow, that's really unusual.
Oh, and
You
I'm
always know
guessing
when Alan's at the shed, because even if he whisks silently past you, there's a little dog 6 feet behind him.
Oh, brilliant!
that's right.
Always just trotting along behind him.
We love a shed. We love a shed dog, don't
Yeah.
we? Shed dogs are wonderful.
Well, in Ingrid's absence, the dog is obliged to look after me permanently. When it's at home, it's looking after Ingrid permanently. But I won't be bringing Daisy along on Saturday, I don't think, because if we're still keeping social distancing and that sort of thing, then it's probably better not to have a dog around going from one person to another being stroked by everybody.
Yeah, that's very
Although
true.
the chances of catching coronavirus in a small island that hasn't now no longer got any coronavirus is pretty much zero, isn't it?
It's pretty low. Yeah.
It's low. It's low, and that's obviously what makes you guys in such a different circumstance to to the mainland and elsewhere. But there'll be many who watching this who'll be very jealous at the thought of a bacon sandwich with their mates, even if they are social distancing this weekend. But
look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's move on to that in a second. Adrian's just chipping in saying, I was guard kayak for Adrian Sarche, who has completed the Ocean 7 swims.
Oh,
yeah, he's done some epic swimming, has Adrian, and the other Adrian Sarche.
Adrian S rather than Adrian R.
I think there was a documentary film made of his efforts, something about the donkey. I'm looking to Adrian R to just chip in and tell us what that was called. The donkey, swimming donkey, or
Guernsey donkey or something.
Yeah, something like that. I can't tell you what it was though. Come on, Adrian. Come on, what was it?
Just wait.
It was. We're just waiting now because there's a 10-second or so delay onto YouTube. So actually, he's not heard this bit yet. So we can.
Okay. I'll
Is it really 10
Excuse
seconds?
me one moment. I'll go and get the video thing, the CD or whatever it's called.
Oh, look at that. That's good service, eh? Very good. Yeah, he did it a good few years ago, and there was a documentary that came out. So drum roll, please. Sea donkey. There it is.
There you are.
Oh, Adrian, you're just. Your dad got there first. by about this much. Your dad beat you to it. Yeah, very good. Very good.
Oh,
hang on.
It's called Sea Donkey, by the way.
Alan, you beat Adrian by about a second. So well done.
Right. Okay.
Good job. It wasn't a competition, but you won.
No.
Good.
Not the most flattering. Not the most flattering title. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, well, only that he's a Guernsey man. So, and Guernsey people are traditionally called donkeys or call themselves donkeys.
I see. I didn't know that yet.
And so a sea donkey is a stubborn, well-meaning man that's gone swimming in the sea.
It makes sense. Yeah, it all makes sense now. All comes together.
So I don't know if it's out of legend or if it came out of Ebenezer LePage's book.
No, it's much older than that, but nobody really knows. There is a theory that a sailing boat that was, as they all were in those days, all boats were sailing boats, went to, or a Jersey boat came here and offered to have a race with a Guernsey boat that was going back to Jersey. And to hold the Guernsey boat back, they tied a dead donkey underneath its keel or something, so it was dragging along through the water, and the Jersey boat won. But that
is funny.
I'm not entirely convinced of the truth of that.
If ever I get into an inter-island regatta, I'll remember that and see if I can rustle up a dead donkey. That is very funny. I've never heard that.
So, I think that'd probably do it, wouldn't it? A dead donkey would probably do it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of a drag.
Yeah, quite.
So the other islands have names, animal names. So I think it's the Sarkis that are known as rabbits. We are the donkeys. Obviously, this would all be in French. So we are Lan. The donkey are Lan. And the Jersey folks in French are named after toads.
Oh.
Much to the Guernseyman's delight, because the French for toad is crapaud. Crapaud, Crapeaud, something like that.
That's
Crapaud.
right. Yeah.
So if you talk to any Guernsey person, they will talk in no unflattering terms about Jersey people being crapauds.
So is Monsieur Crapaud of Crapaud Hall, is it? In the book?
Yes, something like that. Yes.
It's the latest thing. That's fabulous. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things.
Yeah, on the whole, the Channel Islanders do hang together against everybody else, but Jersey and Guernsey people don't get on well together.
So yes, for those who are wondering, we have the bailiwick of Guernsey. It's a very old classic word. The bailiwick of Guernsey includes Herm and Sark and Alderney, and then a few other rocks that are dotted around. Whereas it doesn't get called very often the bailiwick of Jersey, but the bailiwick of Jersey is essentially Jersey and a few reefs, Ecraho and stuff like that. But it's generally just termed Jersey. So yes, we have an archipelago factor going for us as Guernsey, because we are so much closer to each other. But them, they've always got to be bigger and better than us. You know, do their own thing. That
except they've still got a lot of coronavirus, of course.
Yeah, they have. I must admit, about a month ago, I heard word, because we were doing all the PPE stuff and dealing with the hospital. There was word coming through the hospital here, in back channels, that from the hospital there, things were not looking good. And I emailed and messaged a couple of friends in Jersey saying, guys, I don't know what you're hearing in the media. And it was a bit of a cluster thingy that was going off down there. But it's actually, apparently the hospital is really worried. They're really taking it seriously. So guys, please stay at home. Thankfully, it's not been as bad as was first, as I say, like a month ago, 5 weeks. It's not mushroomed as they were fearing. Why that is the case, I don't know, but thankfully it hasn't. But for a little bit there, it looked like it was going to go mad over there.
Yeah.
So I think they've still got a few cases, whereas we've now hit zero, which is amazing. And of course, coming back to that, we were referencing that just before. Of course, that's no known cases, and there are still people being tested. And of course, there is that whole asymptomatic question of people trotting around with it, but they have no idea they have it. So it could be a fortnight, could be a month, maybe, if they pass it on to someone who's asymptomatic as well. It could take quite some time to get out of the population.
I think the main worrying thing is people are allowed to still come into Guernsey, and in theory are supposed to isolate themselves, go into 2-week quarantine in a single room in their own house, and then not come out until the 2 weeks is up, and they're known to be free of coronavirus. It's thought that there might be quite a few people that have arrived in Guernsey who have not been doing the quarantine thing, but so that's a bit scary. There's nobody has admitted to it or anything. But,
of course.
So we hope it's all okay. They're not doing that, or if they are, then they're free of coronavirus.
That is a bit troublesome. Yeah. Mark has just chipped in, changing the subject slightly. Where do I get my own monkey? Like the one Dan has got. Already forgotten the monkey's name. Memory not good.
He's called Chimpa.
It's called Chimpa. Can we get him his own box on the screen so we can have Chimpa Cam?
I don't do ventriloquism, unfortunately, so I can only do that. But Chimpacam. Well, that's Chimpacam then, isn't it?
Oh, one improvement.
It's gone off there for a second. Hold on. I'll come back on.
That ruined it.
My phone keeps dying for some reason. I had to keep touching it to bring it back on. Yeah, no, happy to oblige with Chimpacam whenever required. He was actually given to us by a neighbour when my kids were small, and it amused them and me for years. And he's lived on the bedpost for a long time now because it's a good place to put my headphones, my other headphones.
Sweet. So we've been talking COVID, but let's just sort of spitball, if we may, for a moment. What shed opening looks like. So I was going to stick up this banner, and I should have stuck it up earlier, but we've got a few viewers who might want to chip in. What does reopening your shed look like? Obviously, what we spitball here, we all have to take with a pinch of salt, because things change very quickly. As I mentioned before, there's rumour that some people in government are talking about skipping phase 4 and going straight to phase 5 for Saturday, when they've pre-announced that we'll be going to phase 4 on Saturday. So everything changes, and also from locality to locality, the circumstances will be different. Talking to the guys up Whitby Way last week, they were trying to talk to their local councillors, saying, we have people who live in rural settings where there is no COVID apparent, and they live an already isolated life, and yet they are having to abide by the isolation rules, sort of quarantine rules that are being imposed within the towns and the cities, when actually these guys live all very separate lives. How can we mold the rules to allow these guys back into the shed? So that's an interesting question and a valid point. It would be a bit like Guernsey having no cases but having to follow the UK guidelines. If it's not here, then why are we having to all quarantine ourselves? So any thoughts on that front?
I'll start off there if you like. Let's deal with Guernsey as I'm talking to Guernsey. No cases, nothing to worry about. Possibly some people harbouring, possibly some people not. But as you correctly say, people are coming and going still. Some people are not necessarily
very small amount.
Technically, all you need to do is pass someone in a supermarket too close who's just breathed out wrongly in order to contract this. I'm not trying to scaremonger in the slightest, but you're in a very unique position because you've got, thankfully, brilliantly, very few cases, and none. Down to none now? You said. But you still need to be aware that there are the possibilities that the person that you have, so even if you've been completely a monk alone in your house for say 3 months and you've not even gone out because you've had enough food in the larder and you've had all this mackerel in the back room that you've been eating from last year or whatever, and you haven't even seen another human being, well, so you're fine. You can be absolutely certain that you're fine, but you can never ever be certain about anybody else, not because they might be lying to you, but they might not actually be aware that they have picked up something by traveling near someone. So always hedge on the side of caution anyway. So you talk about wearing masks or face coverings. I put a little thing out the other week about wearing the proper equipment for my health and safety, but wearing a cotton face mask for everybody's health and safety. It's a respect thing to everybody and keeping that little bit of distance. So you're in a very unique and lucky position in many ways to be able to even think about having barbecues on this Saturday or next Saturday or whatever. But we are blessed with a few years of life and should be sensible enough to know that this has been a world pandemic and will continue to be for at least another. What epidemiologists say, it's a 36-month cycle, 24 to 36-month cycle.
Wow.
My understanding of so it's all very well like New Zealand having no cases at the current time, but 60% of the population have to have had it in order for it not to be a problem spreading anymore at present levels of understanding.
Yeah.
So if you haven't actually had it, it's going to come.
Yeah.
So people have to get it. It's just that you don't want to get it at a time where the NHS is rushed over. That's the kind of basic knowledge that I've picked up, which sort of leads the cautious approach, I think, which is just really respectful. Why, it's when you get anybody saying, well, there's no cases here, so why should we worry about it? Well, technically, I agree with you. If you were living, if you were living, three people living close to each other, never been out, you guys go and meet up in a shed once a week, and if nothing's happened to you and you're not conversing with anybody else, great, that's fantastic. But it's not quite as simple as that, and it's not. You're dealing with something that could, instantly make very negative and unpleasant changes to those around you. And you have to be really careful. My wife's a school teacher, teaching assistant. They're going back on Monday. She's been working. They've been working throughout anyway.
Yeah.
But they're being told they have to go back on Monday. That I'd be absolutely horrified if there wasn't an about turn on that before the weekend. Horrified. Because there's no testing. There's no test and tracing. You could have a whole entire class full of children that will be carriers or could be carriers.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
What happens if one person within that class, suddenly starts to show signs of the virus? Everything instantly has to close again. So why rush back?
Yeah.
And to say nothing, my own personal health. People then come back to the house, and I'm here, and I've been self-isolating.
Yeah,
so that means that I'm instantly sharing the air with 300 children today.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the problem with small children who are not likely to be badly affected anyway, even if they get it. But then they go home to parents, grandparents, and all the rest of it. It's a real problem.
Exactly.
I really don't know what the solution is.
I think the slowly approach. What I fear is that they take the brakes off and everyone goes, yay! And I mean, you only look on the news a little bit and social media as well. You see people flouting the rules, and I'm pointing it towards America, but I know that it's been happening in the UK as well. People just don't care or get it. I think they probably have heard it enough times now that they should get it, but it's more likely that they don't care. And that's what I'm worried about, is that the moment you take the brakes off, everyone just goes mad. And talking about going sort of back cautiously to whatever it is we go back to, it strikes me that we're all in the swing of isolation and shutdown now, that continuing this for another week or 2 weeks is much, much easier than letting the brakes off and then waiting 2 to 4 weeks for it to flare up again, and then have to shut it all back down again, possibly even more so. You never know.
You've let the genie out of the bottle, you see, or you've let the you've opened Pandora's box. As soon as you do that, to get back to the stage that we're at now, it's not just a question of a few weeks. And how many deaths, as a result as well. So it's very problematic, and the leadership, and you'd be aware that we had a three-way conversation with the association leaders of Ireland, Wales, and the UK MSA a few weeks ago on the Last Shit Happens program, and they're looking for leadership from direction from government. And one thing that Patrick was correctly, a stickler for was to say we have to follow government recommendations because that's what we have to do. So we can't say anything, and absolutely correctly. But he'd be the first person to appreciate, and indeed has said to me that to say that to people now, you must follow government direction. It's just like, what government direction?
Yeah,
we're really getting very confused messages. Is that on purpose? it's an appalling state of affairs, to be honest, because there are many people that are forced to go back to work because the employers are saying, well, come on, jobs are here for you. Government says it's okay. Where are you?
Yeah.
And you're not going to get any more, the money that you might get if you've been furloughed or otherwise. I'm self-employed, so Rishi Sunak gave me a small amount of money to get through 3 months. Okay. And so far we've heard nothing about the next 3 months, but the furlough scheme was extended.
Okay.
So many youngsters are completely without jobs and without the possibility of jobs. Their education has been upset, and I'm talking about young adults as opposed to children and education here. So many university courses are becoming completely halted. So people need to earn money. They're still paying for their rent. It's a mess. It's not even close to any form of leadership that you could recognise as direction. It's like the like herding cats kind of situation comes to mind, or chickens in your kitchen.
Herding chickens with a cat.
Yes.
So what we kind of agreed on the show was that, well, not agreed, but one of the areas of discussion was that the sheds need to go to their local authorities and local government and say, now look, we've come up with this plan. What do you think? Yeah. Because if you're going to start to work within the direction as the 1 to 5 scale, or are we in phase 3? Aren't we? Why are hairdressers? Why aren't they? It's a very foolish board to be playing the game on. It's much better to say, look, guys, what are the things that affect us? What do we know about this? What have we been told about this disease that we need to be careful about? Is it worth going back now? Can we continue to do the other things that we're doing? And I think definitely the associations over here, they're not going to be making any hasty decisions about saying, go back, everything's fine, guys. I mean, they will be following direction, but cautiously.
Yeah, I think, sorry, I was slightly distracted there by comments coming in from Nick, but I'll get back to Nick in a moment. Okay. We've presented to our government, the States of Guernsey, a document that says this is what we've spoken to them, or our chair spoke to them, and they came back and said, you don't fall within this category or that category, you fall between them. Tell us what you're trying to do and what your circumstances are. So we've written to them, told them this is the environment, this is the way people use it, and this is what we want to do. And they've come back and approved that.
Well, that's brilliant and unique, and a unique interaction, because you're a relatively small island and you've got this quite quick, and that, I mean, that's so anybody that has similar communication with their local authorities can.
That said, I would err still on the side of taking that with a pinch of salt. Hence, we're discussing about saying to everybody, if you're in the shed, you're wearing a mask. No question, because everybody knows how good a mask can be. I think I might have shared this on a previous SHEDcast, but it's worth sharing again. It's a really nice analogy. It's really cuts to the nub of it in the way that shedders will understand. If everyone's walking around with no trousers and underpants on, you've got it. You're there, aren't you? Yeah. And I wee on you, you're going to get wet. That's pretty simple, isn't it?
Pretty simple.
If you're wearing trousers, you're not going to get so wet. You'll get a bit wet, but the trousers will take the brunt of it. If I'm wearing trousers, then you're not going to get wet at all. Now, substitute trousers for masks. There's the analogy. That's, to me, speaks volumes. It's silly. But it's just common sense that actually, if we're all wearing masks, then we're all preparing each other.
But we don't need to wear the mask between our legs, though.
You decide. Alan. You decide. You strap it on however you want.
We've got to keep us fair. In that sort of cameo-esque codpiece.
One on the front, one on the back.
I mean, the wet thing that you mentioned there. I mean, is that's quite quite a good analogy in a way, because they say that most of this bug is carried on saliva or anything, or any kind of moisture, which is in breath, and you'll find many shedders saying, oh well, that particular mask isn't good for that. You need a special mask or this or that. And in actual fact, all of these things will have a degree of truth to them. But to have a covering, which is your covering, which you take home with you, and I specifically wrote my name on the side of my one for the picture that I took, because take it home with you, wash it, have a couple of them, replace them, or if they're disposable ones, dispose of them yourself. Don't leave them there. And if you want to have a cup of coffee, bring a thermos in, because then it's your thermos. You touch it, you're opening it, you're pouring your drink. PKO not here now, not for a while, because everyone's touching it. Now the same would probably definitely apply actually to the food rules that you were talking about. So obviously I was thinking, oh my goodness, when you're talking about putting a barbecue together this weekend, but your circumstances are different
somewhat
to here.
But I thought it was worth having this conversation, because I'm aware that Guernsey is in a different situation to most places in the UK and possibly worldwide. But it's a worthwhile discussion, because it's something that we're going through right now that you can bet your bottom dollar everyone else will be going through shortly, hopefully.
Yes, they can't wait. They can't wait. Yeah, many of them.
Yeah, so what we do here may guide or inform. And if we get it horribly wrong, that will in itself guide and inform somebody else.
We don't want any guinea pigs. No, we don't want that. That's when it comes to... You're going to be known as the guinea pigs in future rather than the donkeys if you're not careful. And you don't want that.
Right.
You really don't want that. So that's to be avoided at all counts.
The old joke is, why do they call you a donkey? Oh, he always calls me that.
I love it. Old ones are the best. Yeah, I love that.
The old ones, what are your thoughts, Alan? Particularly wearing masks.
Masks is absolutely no problem at all. In fact, we've got a supply in the house. We haven't used them yet, but I thought, well, actually, Saturday would be a good time to wear them, or wear one.
Yeah.
And but it did occur to me while that actually bacon on a barbecue is no problem, because you're not touching the bacon, or if you are, then it's getting cooked, and the heat will dispose of any virus things anyway, that in the 1,000,000 to 1 chance that there might be the odd coronavirus around. Putting them on some bread or whatever is a bit more of an issue, isn't it? How on earth do you manage bread or rolls or whatever to with somebody buttering them, or you all?
My thought on that front was that we take a loaf of bread and just undo the top and just tip it out. Trail it out onto so that you pick up your 2 slices, and that's that.
Yeah, and this fancy butter stuff that we went on to a few years ago, we'll just do without. Go back to a plain piece of bread like we used to have.
Yeah. And if people want sauces, then somebody can be Mr. Sauce, red or brown, bit of both, whatever it takes. But then there's only one person handling the bottle. They can be masked. If Neil or someone else is in charge of catering, yes, as you say, we're cooking the bacon, and then a pair of tongs straight onto your piece of bread. That's no problem. If we're sitting around in a large circle, as we normally sit around in a large circle inside, well, let's do it outside and put more space between the chairs.
2 meters apart.
There's going to be a very big circle.
I mean, this lovely idea of the guys sitting around in a big circle outside, getting back together and being able to converse in the outside, that is worth 99% of the whole experience. Why not bring your own bacon butty on this occasion for the next couple of weeks and see how it goes? I mean, far be it from me to suggest anything to the guinea pigs of Guernsey, but I think it's 99% of the experience is seeing those guys again, and if you're out of doors and a long way apart from each other, you don't even need to have the masks on. You can talk.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
as soon as you're sharing the air or getting close to that threshold of 2 meters on in an inside space, you absolutely have to observe those different rules. So you don't have to rush back to the bacon butty thing.
No.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. It's not going to happen soon, but it doesn't have to happen now. As my kids used to say when they were little.
Yeah. And in South Africa, if you want something done really, really, I just need it to be done immediately. You say now.
Brilliant.
Not entirely true. Now is a thing in South Africa, but I worked with a company, an IT company, quite a few years ago over in Guernsey, and they had quite a few South Africans in, and they'd learnt that if you said I want it done now, it might happen. So you had to use a South African term now to get it done. But even then, sometimes it didn't happen. So they, as an internal culture, had invented now. Like, just do it now.
Brilliant.
Right, this instant. Do it. Start doing it.
Yeah.
What is it, now or now? Or now?
So yeah, I hear what you're saying about
Right.
it's a question mark. I think we can whittle our way around it. You raised the question of tea and coffee. Do we ask everyone to bring a thermos flask? That is another thought, because we don't want to be handling all the mugs. Ideally, it's not a great way.
Yeah, that's
Certainly
probably quite a good idea.
Disposable cups, that's a possibility. And we could put a brazier out in front and everyone chucks their cup in the fire, and that's that done.
Well, don't recycling. Bring a cup. Bring a cup. Take it home with you.
That's true. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We've got a mains-based water boiler. So there's a question mark about who does the flippy lever, but everybody could do their own. Put the cup underneath the thing, so it's only one person handling the cup, and then someone could be responsible for flipping the lever.
Surely there's an Arduino-based way you could come round that. you get just close enough to it, and it dispenses just the right amount, just by waving your coffee cup at it.
Do we trust the Arduino with some boiling water?
Well, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, that's true.
Not near your computer, no.
Yeah, that's definitely not. But yes, that's a good idea. I like that. So that's possible. Obviously, there's things like tea bags and coffee powder and milk packets, and we could probably find a way around it. But you're right, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be bring a flask from home. The easiest by far, actually. Yeah.
I mean, we can provide boiling water, but it's all the other stuff that becomes such a faff.
They're the things that are going to create the biggest potential cross-contamination issue, if there is one. And that's the same if someone's got a flu, by the way. It doesn't matter about, it's the same with any of these things. So it's you look at food safety standards in an average kitchen, they're pretty extreme, but they couldn't get even close to coping with what we're being asked to cope with at the moment. So cut the stuff out that's not necessary at the kind of time being, and let it creep in, and you'll enjoy it all the more when it does then, but at least you get back together in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the sitting around outside is workable, and yeah, if we can scorch some bits of pig, then that's easily workable without too much ado. Yeah, we've got some hand sanitizer. We're going to get some sorted out. If you've watched the previous Shedcasts, you'll know about the Guernsey seaweed guy, Ben Tustin.
Yeah. Amazing.
So they're still, and because they've supplied their squirty bottle of stuff out to all of the healthcare professionals that need it, it's now available in several locations to the public. So I'm going to pick some up hopefully tomorrow. Get a couple of bottles of that, so we can have a couple of bottles in the shed, around. So that'll be good. Yeah, I think it's possible.
Plus, you guys you're all shedders, so if you're looking at an issue saying how can we get that hot water thing to dispense hot water without touching it and without touching something that we then, it just creates a new something to talk about and try and resolve, doesn't it? That's the whole point.
Maybe a foot pedal. What do you reckon, Alan? Foot pedal?
Oh,
Operated.
maybe. Are your feet as sensitive as your hands in operating a lever or something? I don't know. To be quite honest, if everybody squirts their hands and there's a squirty bottle of sanitizer stuff right alongside the sink where the water heater is, then you squirt this on your hands, rub your hands together, and then use the lever.
That's
Would
true.
probably work fine.
That's very true. Yeah,
I've said my piece. I won't say any more there. I'll leave that.
But I still think at the end of the day,
get on.
a flask of coffee is still probably best anyway. So it's actually not everybody has a cup of tea or coffee or anything anyway, do they?
Bacon bucky o'clock.
Half at the most, isn't it?
At bacon o'clock, I would say that most people have a drink.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Got to
Is
wash
it just me that carries on working around in the other part of the shed, so I don't see anyway?
Yeah, well, we usually try and round everybody up, but there's always one or two skulk off.
Strays. Straggling donkeys.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, viewers, Dan, Alan, we'll let you know how it goes. We'll no doubt take some pictures and video just to taunt you all a second time.
Yeah.
And well, fingers crossed, eh?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, see you on Saturday, Marcel. Then.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Alan. I know it's last minute.
Okay. Well, cheerio.
We will toodle
switch all off now.
Red button at the bottom. Leave studio.
It's always a pleasure.
I'll kick him out. There we go. Gone. We can talk about him now. Fantastic. Dan, again, thank you so much. And for all the audio problems we had earlier, thanks for just carrying it. I much appreciate that.
That's quite all right, mate. I was completely as stuffed as to know what to say for him. I thought, oh, yes, I like that boat. I'll talk about it. It was lovely. And I do love that boat. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's great.
I've always wanted to make a boat. Always wanted to make one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people over here that would like to do that too. You've got the skills, so there's no excuse. Come on, Dan.
I've got lots of excuses, believe me.
Come on.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say, but really, I've lost it, so it doesn't matter. That's enough of that.
It's quite all right. Yeah.
Dan, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you anon.
Indeed you will, and I'll keep you informed of everything that's going on here. And let's just everyone stay safe, be careful. You don't have to stay at home anymore, so great. But that doesn't mean you have to rush around and hug everybody. So that's a lovely thing to do too. They'll come. That time will come.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
lovely.
Thank you everyone for joining us. As we say in Guernsey, à la prochaine. Until next time.
À la prochaine. All the best. Bye bye.